Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe and warm on this snowy Friday. This Shabbos will be Parshas Shkalim, when we read a special additional Torah reading to remember the mitzvah of giving the half shekel, which was a mitzvah that all adults would participate in when the Beis HaMikdash stood. And the question that I would like to ask is, why indeed do we have a special reading? Why is there a special Shabbos designated to remember this mitzvah? There are many mitzvos that we no longer can perform because the Beis HaMikdash does not stand, and we don't have a specific remembrance and especially entire Shabbos devoted to remember every particular mitzvah. And we are beginning now a series, a number of special Shabbos that will lead all the way up to Pesach, through Purim and up until Pesach. And those Shabbos also seem to center around more important mitzvos. Remembering the war with Amalek as one. Shkalim seems to be relatively insignificant. What is so special? Why did Chazal institute that we should remember every year? We should devote some time every year to think about the mitzvah of the half shekel. So what was the mitzvah of the half shekel about? Again, in the days of the Beis HaMikdash, every adult would give a half shekel around this time. And it would go into the coffers of the Beis HaMikdash, and that money would be set aside primarily to be used to buy the animals that would be offered for the communal sacrifices, whether it was the daily tummy, the daily offering morning and afternoon, whether it was the karbanos hatzibor, the communal offerings that would be added on Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos or Yontif, and it would come from that communal fund collected from the half shekel donations of every person. And the Perushim, the rabbis in the period of the second Beis HaMikdash, the forerunners to Chazal in our tradition, maintained that every communal offering must come only from that fund. However, the Gemara records that it was about this point that actually there is one of the great debates and arguments between the Prushim and the Tzedukim, another sect of the Jewish people at that time who had a different understanding of the tradition, who rejected many of the traditions of our sages that we still follow. And the Gemara records that the Tzedukim held Shahayu HaTzedukim Omrim Yachid Misnadev Umevi Tamid. The Tzedukim believed that an individual can donate and offer one of the daily offerings on behalf of the Jewish people. In other words, the Tzedukim believed that, yes, if there was no sponsor that day, so there was a Karban Tamid fund, just like we have a Kiddush fund if there's no sponsor. So too, if there was no sponsor for that day's offering, they would go to this communal fund. But if someone wanted to, they could buy and they could provide, and the morning daily offering would be offered on behalf of this sponsor in memory of a loved one, in honor of a loved one, whatever it may be. I don't mean to make a joke of it, but that's what they believed, that it didn't have to come from the communal fund. And this was a great debate, one of the issues that divided the Tzedukim and Perushim in terms of how to run the Beis HaMikdash. The Perushim maintained that it only could come from communal funds, and the Tzedukim maintained that an individual could donate and sponsor the daily offering. The Tzedukim generally came. They drew their ranks from the wealthy upper class of the Jewish people, from the Kohanim, and from the politically powerful residents of Yerushalayim. And so for a time, the Tzedukim were in control, certainly had influence over some of the running of the Beis HaMikdash. And the rabbis always were upset about this, how there could be one person who could take it for themselves, the merit of the national offering. That belongs to the people, the rabbis, the Perushim, maintained. And the Gemara records from an earlier source, Megillas Tanis, that at a certain point, somehow, we don't really know, somehow the rabbis were able, through their control, through political pressure, through galvanizing the masses who always followed the traditions of the rabbis, not the Tzedukim, they somehow were able to prevent this from happening. They were able to get it put into the running of the Beis HaMikdash that the daily offerings would only come from the communal national funds, the money that came from every person, that every person contributed to, and cannot be brought on behalf of an individual. And that day was so important. The Gemara records from Megillas Tanis that it was established as a minor holiday. The day that we established that the daily offerings come from the people and not from a wealthy donor. And perhaps it is that background why we have a Parsha Shekalim, why Chazal instituted for us to remember the mitzvah of the Machzah Shekel. It's not just about that particular mitzvah. It's about one, when there was this controversy about the tradition, and that the correct tradition, so to speak, won out, and that is the tradition that we follow. The Masorah of Chazal. We are celebrating the Masorah of Chazal on the Shabbos, not just the mitzvah of the half shekel. And moreover, we are celebrating the ideas behind that Masorah, what this tradition believed, that the Torah is for everyone, that is not only for any elite group, be it wealthy or most learned or most politically powerful or of most pure lineage. The Torah belongs to the entire Jewish people. Every person is included, and the carbon tamid comes from the half shekels that were given by every person, rich or poor, young or old, from whatever tribe you came from. It was something that we, the Jewish people, did together, and that is the highest level of serving Hashem, when the Jewish people, when we come together, and we come together to serve Hashem, and that is what we remember on this Parsha Shekalim, and why Chazal instituted this memorial every year for us to think about. Good Shabbos, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.